I need to set the record straight. Turtle green juice doesn't do anything for anyone. Okay, it certainly doesn't cure parvovirus, and this video will explain what parvovirus is, how you can stop your dog from having it to your best ability, and you can also show off your knowledge to all the pet parents in the world once you watch this video. So buckle up and let's dive right in. We'll go into each section, that's all in the timestamps. You can jump if you feel bored and get more knowledge about this subject. Parvovirus derives from the word parvus or parvum, a Latin word, which means small or tiny. And they're these really tiny viruses that are non-enveloped, meaning they can survive, unfortunately, really well in the environment, and it takes a lot to sort of disinfect them, but things like bleach helps. Anyway, key points before you stop watching this video is parvovirus is highly preventable with vaccinations. Make sure you get your vaccinations as puppies. It is recommended by the World Small Animal Vet Association, the BSABA. It is all in the guidelines, so please get your puppies vaccinated. Okay, so specifically we'll talk about canine parvovirus, which is the parvovirus that affects dogs. Briefly, in cats it's called feline panleukopenia virus, which acts in a similar way, but we'll focus on dogs. It can affect puppies and dogs any age really, but mostly puppies, because what parvovirus likes to attack is rapidly dividing cells, meaning cells that are continuously growing. And in puppies, if you can imagine, they are growing very fast. So they have rapidly dividing cells in their intestines, in their hearts, in their bone marrow, in their lymphoid tissue. So this is very important. Breeds like Rottweilers and Pit Bulls have been known to be more susceptible, so if your dog is that breed, make sure you keep up to date with your vaccinations. As we mentioned, this virus is pretty hardy and can survive in the environment. It's transmitted via feces, so if you go to like a doggy park where dogs just poop everywhere, people don't clean up after their dogs. It survives for months and months, and if a dog, innocent dog, puppy, comes along that's not vaccinated, ingests the feces accidentally, the virus enters the system and attacks the lymphoid tissue, so the lymph glands tissue, and then it can spread into the bloodstream, into your intestines, bone marrow, and also the heart. As you can imagine, if it attacks the intestines, it's going to lead to diarrhea, because it destroys the cells, it enters it, and it makes the cells very susceptible to other infections because the cells become weak. And also you may see that your dog has lots and lots of diarrhea, and they're really flat and collapsed because they are very dehydrated. Bone marrow. So it attacks the bone marrow. That means your bone marrow can't produce your white blood cells. Well, the white blood cells is important in your immune system to attack your viruses, and as you can imagine, if your bone marrow is suppressed, meaning it's not producing enough white blood cells, you get your drop in your white blood cell count, so poor immunity, which makes secondary infections like bacterial infections more likely, which will further worsen the condition and can lead to death. Especially in puppies, when the virus attacks the heart, because of the rapidly dividing cells, it can lead to inflammation of the heart. So, you know, your heart is pretty crucial to sustain life in general, so unfortunately it adds to the worsening of the disease. As you can tell, this virus is pretty horrible. How do we know your pet has parvovirus? So usually if your puppy comes in with diarrhea and we are really worried if they look really flat and collapsed, they have a really fast heart rate, they're dehydrated, we would advise a blood test or a parvoviral test. So parvovirus test, there's two types. One type is a quick snap test, which we use a swab. In the UK anyway, we use a swab to swab the feces up the bum area. And then it takes about like 15 to 30 minutes to process, and then you get a positive result or a negative result. Because it's a very simple test, there can be false positive and negatives. So the second test, which is a PCR test, is more reliable and more accurate. However, it involves sending the sample off to a lab, so it can take a few days for it to come back. Unfortunately, if you have a positive parvoviral diagnosis, we have to isolate your pet. So unfortunately, if the pet needs to have treatment, it is very intensive treatment, including intravenous fluid therapy just to rehydrate them, supportive medication, so antiemetics to stop them from vomiting further, because that can lead to more fluid losses and, you know, exacerbate the condition. It may include appetite stimulants, pain relief, because it's a very painful disease, because you can imagine all your cells are being destroyed. In some cases, antibiotics if we have seen sepsis and signs of sepsis that we are worried about. And more recently, there is this medication called Virbagen Omega by Virbac that is an interferon that helps to produce more antiviral proteins and enzymes in your pets to help facilitate a quicker recovery from parvovirus alongside your other therapies. Notice how I don't mention turtle juice, because turtle juice does not do anything for anyone, so please do not believe that. Please, I beg you. So, I can't stress enough how common this disease is and how it's been around for ages and how detrimental it is, but yet not enough people know about it and how to prevent it in their pets. And as a vet, whenever we see a case like this come into the clinic, it is really heartbreaking because number one, that puppy will require lots of intensive treatment in the hospital because they need fluids and it's up to their immune system to sort of fight the disease. There is no cure. There is supportive therapies to try and fight the virus, but there's no like magic cure, if that makes sense. It's a huge heartbreak for everyone involved because it could have been prevented by a vaccine. Personally, I've received abuse, sadness from the owners because of this happening to their pet and they can't afford treatment, or even under treatment their pet is not improving, and you just feel so sad. And you can't even feel sad that the owner is angry at you because they expect you to fix their mistake of not vaccinating their pet. You just feel sad for them because at the end of the day they lose their pet to this disease. So hopefully with this information out there in the world, more people are more aware about parvovirus and to always keep up to date with their vaccinations. Especially if your pup is an at-risk breed, please speak to your vet, and I hope you feel empowered to look after your pet to make sure they have the right vaccinations. Lastly, some common myths and misconceptions that we can debunk here. Number one, only puppies get parvovirus. No, adults can get parvovirus too. If they don't have the immunity, if they don't keep up to date with their vaccinations, then they can be at risk of getting parvovirus. Myth number two, natural immunity is better than vaccination. This study in 2010 has shown that untreated parvovirus cases have a mortality rate up to 91%, especially in young puppies. And treatment dramatically reduces the mortality. So you can see it's very risky to put your pets in the 91% group of this study that did not have treatment for parvovirus and did not survive. And the last myth that seems to be circulating around the internet, home remedies like turtle green juice can cure parvo. Again, to drive home a message to everyone on this internet, turtle green juice does not do anything for anyone. It does not work. The only treatment that you need to seek is veterinary treatment in a clinic because your pet needs intravenous fluids, antiemetics, anti-nausea medication, supportive pain relief, antibiotics if it needs it, even a blood transfusion if their blood levels drop too low, the interferon if it's suitable for them. So please seek vet treatment. To summarize this video, we have learned that parvovirus is a very detrimental disease and vaccination is key in preventing the infection of this disease. So make sure your puppies have vaccinations. Let me know which other disease you would like me to cover, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now!